NASA's James Webb Space Telescope has revealed a new look at colorful auroras, but not here on Earth. Recent observations of Neptune, the most distant planet from the Sun, have shown a sky full of vivid cyan stretching across the planet's upper atmosphere. These light blue splotches seen all around the planet are packed with information about how the gas giant's atmosphere behaves. Auroras happen when energetic particles, often originating from the Sun, become trapped in a planet's magnetic field and strike the upper atmosphere. The energy released during these collisions creates their signature glow. However, what has been observed in Neptune is noticeably different from what we are accustomed to seeing here on Earth, or even on planets closer to it, like Jupiter or Saturn. Instead of being confined to the planet's northern and southern poles, Neptune's auroras are located at the planet's mid-latitudes. This is due to the strange nature of Neptune's magnetic field that astronomers are still actively investigating. In 1989, the Voyager 2 spacecraft made a flyby approach that first confirmed Neptune's magnetic field is tilted by 47 degrees. Since aurora activity is based where the magnetic fields converge into the planet's atmosphere, its aurora are seen far from its rotational poles. With this new data from Webb, the temperature at the top of Neptune's atmosphere was measured for the first time since that flyby occurred, and the results hint at why these auroras have remained hidden from astronomers for so long. Surprisingly, Neptune's upper atmosphere has cooled by several hundred degrees, and a substantially colder temperature results in much fainter auroras that can only be detected using Webb's powerful scientific instruments. This cooling also suggests that this region of its atmosphere can change dramatically, even though the planet sits over 30 times farther from the Sun compared to Earth. These observations were made using one of Webb's powerful onboard scientific instruments, known as the near-infrared spectrograph. And for the very first time, scientists have confirmed the presence of trihydrogen cation, a chemical compound commonly known to be created in auroras. These discoveries help scientists to better understand how Neptune's magnetic field interacts with particles that stream out from the Sun to the distant reaches of our solar system. Webb's infrared capabilities are helping to reveal details that have never been seen before, opening up a window into studying ice giant atmospheres. When Webb's observations are combined with data from the Hubble Space Telescope and others, the picture of what's happening on Neptune is becoming much more clear.
Okay. All right. Well, you did a good job. So, hey, everybody, it's Scott Roberts and Diana, remind me how to pronounce your last name.
Hannikainen.
Hannikainen. Okay. And she is the editor-in-chief of Sky and Telescope magazine. So, really happy to have you here. We've been here several days already at the 2025 AstroCon in Bryce Canyon, Utah. So it was kind of a mixed bag coming here, not because of the event. The event has been incredible. Okay, 400 or 500 people are here, but it's been a little smoky because of some fires nearby, right? And so, and did you fly or drive or?
I flew.
You must have flown. Okay,
I flew from Boston.
Boston. Okay.
Yeah.
Although people have driven all the way across the United States to be here. So
that's right. Yeah. No, I flew from Boston into via Dallas into St. George.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I met you at another Astronomical League convention, okay, in Louisiana, I think for the first time. And you were one of the main editors of the magazine at that time.
At the time, my title was observing editor.
Observing editor. Okay, all right.
We all have these titles. We have
Mhm.
science editor, news editor,
Mhm,
then
mhm.
we have associate editors,
Mhm.
and at the time, I was observing editor.
Okay, all right. So I didn't know of you before. Okay, and I'm still getting to know you. But what did you do before the magazine?
I was in research,
Okay,
and my specialty was microquasars. And I observed
micro quasar.
microquasars, yes, and I observed them in the radio and the X-ray primarily.
Wow. So tell me what a micro quasar is.
A microquasar is an X-ray binary. So
Okay.
you have a compact object
Okay.
and a regular star. And in my case, the X-ray binaries I was looking at were the compact object was mostly a black hole.
Okay.
And the black hole accretes matter from the normal star. The normal star fills its Roche lobe, and that matter sort of spills into the gravitational field of the black hole, let's say, and it swirls around the black
yeah.
hole.
Okay.
And forms an accretion disk. And the accretion disk heats up, and it heats up so much that it emits X-rays.
Wow.
And then
Okay.
every
Like
now and
making the
then-
jets that.
Then every now and then, not quite yet.
Okay.
The accretion disk that's like this pizza swirling around the black hole is
Got
what
it.
emits X-rays, and then every now and then that becomes unstable for some reason that we're still a bit unclear. And the inner parts, one model suggests that the inner parts of the accretion disk then are shot out in these micro jets that
Oh,
we
wow.
observe primarily in the radio,
Uh-huh.
or at least historically. Now we've seen them in other wavelengths as detectors have become more sensitive. But they're small scale analogs to the quasars that everybody knows so well.
Okay.
That are supermassive black holes that accrete matter from the host galaxy and then shoot jets at big large speeds.
Wow. Okay. So do they still what do they think about quasars in general? I mean, the ones that we see, like 3C273, for example, is a quasar I like to show people through a
Yes.
telescope. It looks like a tiny, faint little blue star. I hear that even in the largest telescopes, it still looks like a tiny little blue star. Okay, because they're so far away, or are they large in size? The big, I mean, a full-blown quasar,
A
or
quasar essentially has a supermassive black hole at the
Okay.
core of the galaxy. So we're talking millions to billions times the mass of the sun. They're huge.
okay,
And they are surrounded by a galaxy, like a regular galaxy like ours, stars and interstellar.
okay, like the Milky Way, maybe.
Milky Way. And then the supermassive black hole emits matter from the surrounding, from its host galaxy.
I see.
They are very large distances. You're absolutely right, and that's why they look like blue dots in our eyepieces, in our photographs, images. But that is one of the things that I love to do when I give talks, and I tell people, okay, I'm going to show you, in the eyepiece, I'm going to show you an object, and it looks like a dot. But
Okay.
then what I tell them is I tell them everything that's happening at that dot. Like one of the X-ray binaries that you can look at in the eyepiece, because I think it's about 8th magnitude, is Cygnus X1.
Okay.
Cygnus X1, the very first X-ray binary identified, has a stellar mass black hole
Yes.
and a companion. And it too has the accretion disk and all of that stuff happening. When you look at it in a telescope, you see a dot. But when you're looking at it, just imagine in your mind
All that
is
stuff.
going on in
Yeah,
that
yeah,
dot,
yeah, yeah,
around
yeah.
that dot.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
same with quasars.
So that's the reason. I mean, having someone that can interpret that, especially in layperson's terms, okay, is so important. I think for supporting research and supporting, the research institutions and continuing on with science. Especially in this day and age when there's been a lot of challenges to science, but I know that it will persevere. So. Okay, so that's great. And did you get a PhD in this? Wow. Okay, and what was the PhD thesis on micro
I
quasars?
can't believe I remember the title. And it was multi-wavelength observations of radiojet X-ray binaries.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Because radiojet X-ray binaries is what we call microquasars for short, but I felt that I had to make it look a bit more official. So
I see. Okay, well, you got your peers to worry about.
Yeah.
Well, that's very cool. And so, I mean, if we go back a little bit earlier than that, maybe from childhood, were you always interested in science, or you was? Okay.
I was,
Uh-huh.
and say that, well, my father was always very interested in astronomy, is very interested in astronomy. And he'd been a subscriber to Sky and Telescope
Oh, he
at a
was?
certain point. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because it's an old magazine.
It is.
We'll
Established
talk
in
about.
1941.
That's right.
But he was a subscriber for a while, not when I came along, but he still had his old issues lying around. And so I'd leaf through his issues of the magazine before I knew how to read properly.
Oh, wow.
And
Okay.
he also had
So you're like looking at
just looking
pictures.
at the pictures. And this was quite some time ago, so it's not the pretty, beautiful colored
Right.
images we have.
Yeah, it was
This
more
is grainy black and white.
Yeah.
But I still thought Saturn looked amazing in
Sure.
those photos. And so I would leaf through his issues of Sky and Telescope. And he had a lot of books on astronomy, and I leaf through them.
Did he have a telescope too? Or?
He did when he was a kid. He didn't
Okay.
anymore. By the time, he got married and started a job, I came along, all those things.
Yeah,
Kind
yeah.
of fell a little bit by the wayside, but he was always reading about astronomy. Then we went and lived in Brazil for a while, and
Okay.
we lived in Brasilia, so that's in the center of the country.
Okay.
And we'd always, for weekends, we'd go out to this ranch, and this was way back, decades ago, and we were in the middle of nowhere under phenomenally dark skies.
Super dark.
And my dad would take me out and show me the constellations and the stars. And let me
The
tell you
Milky
something.
Way. And...
In those days, seeing a satellite go by was exciting.
Oh, yeah. That's right.
Because it was like,
Well,
"Ooh,
now
satellite."
sometimes people get a different kind of excitement. It's like,
kind of excitement. Yeah.
when are these satellites going to stop?
So we
So
spent hours out there looking at the stars, and
Yeah.
he'd tell me everything about it. And then I always liked math. I always liked physics. So it was a natural sort of path.
Wow. So very interesting. And so you did your research. Did you work in any observatories
I
or
worked at universities.
universities? Okay.
I worked at the University of Southampton in the UK.
Okay.
Then I went to Finland. Actually, I went to Finland to study for my PhD because I didn't grow up in Finland. As my name suggests, I'm of Finnish origin. I am Finnish, actually. Born Finnish. But I didn't grow up there, so I went to Finland to do my PhD, just to explore my roots.
Yeah.
And then after my PhD, I went to the University of Southampton, and then I went back to Finland, and I worked at the University of Helsinki, and then at Metsähovi Radio Observatory. And during all these years, I worked very closely with Professor Richard Hunstead at the University of Sydney, Australia.
Okay.
So I did a lot of work down there with Professor Hunstead.
That's very cool.
There, so.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, so you're such an approachable person, and so I think that a lot of, especially beginning amateur astronomers, might be a little intimidated to talk to someone like you that is so knowledgeable and professional, and
No, shouldn't be.
Shouldn't be. Huh?
Shouldn't be. We all share the love of the sky and
Right.
the stars, and that's what we should do together.
Yeah, and I can see you love the stars too because of the
Yes.
earrings that you have.
Yes.
So you might have heard us because I think our microphones were hot. Okay, during before we actually started this.
Okay. But may I repeat where I got these earrings?
Yeah, please.
Well, I got these earrings through an enterprising young lady called Pranvera Husseini. You probably have heard of her.
Pranvera, yeah.
Pranvera. But if you would like to buy some of her stunning jewelry, just look up Pranstars. So PRANSTARRS.
2 R's.
Note the 2 R's because
Okay.
1 R will take you to a very different place.
Okay.
So 2 R's, Pranstars. Look her up. Look up this. She also makes bracelets with the planets.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool.
Real cool. Love this stuff.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But no tattoos of.
No, only bruises because I
Only
tend to walk
bruises.
into furniture.
Yeah, I don't have any tattoos either. I don't know why. But anyhow, so your life goes along. You're in research and all the rest of it. And how do you get involved with Sky and Telescope? Of course, you had kind of this connection with your father and the magazine and all the rest of it.
It was one day I thought, let me see if there's something else I could do in life. So after I graduated from the University of Edinburgh in Scotland, where I did my undergraduate studies,
Okay.
I was really thinking of going along 2 paths: research or science communication. I
Okay.
loved writing. I loved the concept of sharing our things that we learn and
Yeah.
our passion with people, and finding nice ways or clever ways to do that,
Yeah.
or whatever. But after I graduated from the University of Edinburgh, I really thought of these two paths, but research was a little bit more compelling at the time,
Sure.
just because it seemed to be an easier path because of the fact I want to go back to Finland and or go to Finland. I did research for a good chunk, and then I thought I'd like to try something else and maybe go back to the other
Science
path
communication.
that I would have liked to have done.
Yeah.
And hadn't really gone down that path.
Mm-hmm.
And I was just scrolling online, looking at different things, not really thinking of anything specific yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a position for an editor at Sky and Telescope advertised, and my ears perked up, and I thought, metaphorical ears perked up, and I thought, why don't we try it? And I applied, and I couldn't believe when I got that first phone call, saying, well, we'd like to talk to you more. And the second phone call, and then the third phone call, which was, hey, you want to move to Cambridge?
Mm-hmm. And when was this?
This was 2017.
2017.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
All right. So and the magazine's gone through all kinds of different stages. I remember at one point it hit a critical time when the magazine might have shut down. Okay. And the American Astronomical Society decided to pick it up and keep the magazine going. And I think everybody breathed a sigh of relief at the time because it was such a it's such an iconic magazine that delivered. You're talking about science communication. This was a magazine that a lot of people relied on for whether you were trying to find Pluto on a finder chart or you wanted to understand the dynamics of the latest happenings in astronomical science. Sky Telescope always delivered that. You still have some of the old guard from Sky Telescope on staff. I know Kelly Beatty still, although retired, still kind of communicates with you and all the rest of it. So this connection that goes back for many decades is, I think, wonderful. And
we're all extremely grateful that the American Astronomical Society decided to take the plunge and take us under their wing. And
right.
It's been very rewarding.
Excellent. We got
a young one.
We got a young one here.
Let's go get him.
So the room's filling up with people and maybe you're having a little bit of trouble hearing over some of the ambient noise, but this is a live program, and so this is the way it is. Okay,
yes.
Right?
Right.
I've had a great time getting to know you, and it's been wonderful knowing you better. But let's talk about the magazine a little bit right now. How has the magazine changed, or has it changed since the AAS has taken over?
I would say that one thing that the AAS has always told us was they did not want to provide any direct input on editorial content.
Oh, let the editors do their thing. Okay.
Yes, which is absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. And of course, they're there to provide guidance, the framework, and they provide everything else, everything for us to be there.
All the your resources.
The resources, of course, we couldn't be there without that.
Sure.
But they have given us editorial liberty, let's say, editorial freedom, which is absolutely amazing. And
that's great.
So we have continued.
Do you think that's rare in just magazines in general?
I don't have a very in-depth knowledge of the magazine industry at large.
Yeah.
But I would think so.
Yeah.
I would think that is
rare. Because
yes.
I used to work for another company, another telescope company, and when they would have a review of a telescope that didn't go so well, the chairman of that company would let the magazines, not just Sky and Telescope, but other magazines know about it. And so it was kind of a little tough, but I think that the editors kind of had a thick skin anyways, and said, look, we're gonna say it like it is, we're gonna write like it is, and we're gonna express our thoughts. And
yes, one of the things that we hold very dear at Sky and Telescope is we want to be factual, as factual as possible.
Oh, sure.
And so whether it's our science articles or our observing articles or our product reviews, we want to we want to maintain that trust.
No, sure.
That what we're bringing is the right stuff.
Oh yeah. Well, it's always been a trusted publication, and a source where, you know, I, I I don't like to compare magazines, but um, when I look at the older issues, it was kind of like like a straight up science journal is what it looked like. Okay, because I used to have every issue of Sky and Telescope magazine from day one. Okay. So I had a big library of these magazines at Meet Instruments, and we relied upon it, for information. It was interesting to see the evolution of what we knew about astronomy and space science as the decades wore on.
It's so fun to dip into the old issues, like from the 50s or 60s, and read an article on what we knew then about globular clusters. Or
can you still get those now? I mean, can you get the old issues?
We have a whole archive in our office.
Used to be able to buy them,
Yeah. That I'm not sure of at the moment, the really old issues, but
in the 40s, right?
Yeah. They're a lot of fun to read through. And every
Sure.
now and then, you come across an issue maybe in a library or something like that. And you can dip into it and see what we knew back then. It's fascinating, like you were saying, to see the evolution of our knowledge.
And it's also interesting to kind of compare what they knew back then or thought back then versus what we're learning now. A lot of it was right,
Yes,
a lot of it was right.
Oh,
And so that's interesting too. So but here you are at the AstroCon, and you're now editor-in-chief.
Right.
So you're heading up the whole magazine, right?
That's
Right. And
but with a very strong team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So you want to talk about the team a little bit?
Yeah, oh, for sure. Among the editors, everybody has been at the magazine longer than me, and we even have 2 editors who have come back after having been away for a while.
Oh wow!
And they're back on board.
Okay.
And so I really feel the support, the knowledge that the editors have, the knowledge that they have, and the institutional knowledge that they have, I find incredibly precious to tap into. They're all extremely hardworking and very supportive, and our art team is phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
Our art team is. I would encourage everybody to take a look at the July 2025 issue.
Okay.
We have a fully illustrated cover that was all done in the house, and the issue is all dedicated to, or mostly dedicated to, outreach, and I absolutely love that issue. But the art team is just so dedicated and so talented. And then we have our youngest member is our editorial assistant, who is so hardworking and helpful. It's just such a wonderful team.
Wow.
I get goosebumps when I think of them.
Well, that's great.
Yeah.
And so, the magazine today versus the magazine from, you mentioned about the editors and the ability. I mean, not just the ability, but the encouragement to deliver what is not only on their mind, but also digging out all the correct information, because Sky and Telescope's held to a very high bar. Okay, make a mistake, like I make mistakes on this show all the time. You're not allowed to make as many mistakes, I know.
And yet we do, we're human.
So when people are counting on you like that, and I see, like, in the front of the magazine sometimes, some tiny little error, and you guys pointed out, and I'm going, God, why didn't he even talk about that? Because it's such a small error. Is it a responsibility to deliver?
It's the responsibility to try and remain as accurate and factual as possible. And we don't want these errors to propagate. And so
sure, it's so easy.
Yes.
Yes.
And so at least we hope that people do read the little errata,
right?
The little erratum thingy at the end of the letters section, just so that these little errors don't stay out there.
Sure. Sure.
But yeah, the responsibility is very big, and but everybody's very dedicated to doing the most thorough fact check possible on all the manuscripts that come in. But yes, we're human. We're also working to
And not
deadlines.
do you have to deliver all these facts, but you have to serve it up pretty much in layperson's terms. It's not a straight up science journal in that way, right?
And then it has to be illustrated. And
has to be
right. The scientific diagrams to help explain what's going on, and then it also has to be illustrated in terms of artwork to accompany the story. And so there are all these moving parts that have to come together.
So to get out an issue,
yes,
like you July's the latest one, right?
No, I think September has come out.
Oh, September's already out.
September's already.
Right.
Yes.
And we're still in June. Right.
Yes. So. We're still in June. Yes.
So, how long does it take for you to get a magazine together? I mean, you're the editor in chief, so when do you go, okay, it's done?
We work month to month.
Okay.
Some editors work farther ahead. Some editors work at the deadline.
Okay.
The deadline. But so we do start an issue altogether. So even if an editor has already done their work, we sort of start at the same time, and we go through all the different phases until we get to the last couple of days, which involves the final proofs, the final checks.
I see.
And then our art director ships all the files to the printer.
Okay.
But it is like one.
Is it kind of a nail biter right at the very end?
Every time. But it's like this great big spider web where,
Yeah.
we're all on the spider web.
Yes.
And, one person does this, in their cycle, and that just sends ripples across the whole web. So each of the editors, and I can talk about this because I was an editor until November.
Sure.
The process is pretty much, if you're working with an author, you get a manuscript and you edit the manuscript in terms of following our style, following, we make some little grammatical corrections if need be, fact check. Then you gather the artwork, think of the captions, work with the art director, the art team to decide if you want an illustration, a diagram, or just artwork. And then there's a lot of back and forth because once the primary editor has edited the manuscript, it goes to another editor for like a sanity check.
Okay.
And then it goes back to the primary editor, and then it goes to the
sanity check.
Yeah, a little sanity check, just to make sure.
We've gone down the rabbit hole too far.
No, just to make sure that the whole big
Okay.
That everything is in place.
I get it. Okay. I get it.
And then it goes to the art team, and the art team lays it out, and then there's still a bit of back and forth because things need to be jiggled a little bit here and there. And then sometimes we'll share but we always share the manuscript with the authors to also do a bit of back and forth. Say, did we interpret this correctly?
Wow. You don't have a lot of time to do all this stuff.
It's month to month. We have about 20 days in the summer. And
it's not much time.
And like some people know, some of the editors can overlap different phases. Others do it once. So it all depends on the nature of the department, the nature of the personality of the editor. But I'd say we work in 1 month chunks.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Pretty much.
And so from this month to month, I mean, there's always some headline that's on the cover of the magazine. Is that setting a theme or a tone for the entire issue, or is it sometimes? Okay.
If we see that we have several articles either by accident or on purpose that are all on the same theme, then we definitely think of a themed cover. And in other cases, the cover choice is we think a lot about what message we're trying to convey in terms of what might be the story of the month, or what might grab people's attention, what might inspire people, and sometimes it's just topical. If Mars is in opposition, we would love to have.
Yeah, you got to talk about that, right?
You got to talk about that,
right?
Yeah.
So, so you guys have a long, loyal audience, okay, that's been reading Sky and Telescope for, you since childhood, right? So, and this mix of this audience, is mostly amateur astronomers, or how would you characterize it? Beginning star? It's not beginning stargazers.
Not
It's,
really.
it's some more experience in astronomy. Maybe you're already in the community, right?
Yeah.
But you might be a professional astronomer too.
Oh, definitely. I want to go back to the amateur, to the beginning versus more experience. Certainly, I think we target more experienced observers or amateurs who are really serious about wanting to start observing.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
they're the ones that might look to subscribing to Sky Telescope or getting an issue. But professionals certainly have read us. So when I was at universities in research, the university libraries would always have a copy of Sky Telescope, the latest issue,
All right.
and of all the magazines, Astronomy,
Sure.
Astronomy Now, Science, etc. So we would.
Well, if you went to any university, you
They
would
would
see.
have all of those right alongside the Astrophysical Journal, Astronomy and Astrophysics, monthly notices of the Royal Astronomical Society. So
Right.
it's always there in the mix. And I know a lot of professionals read Sky Telescope. And,
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
And I think quite a lot of professions got into astronomy because of the Sky
Because of the magazine.
And
Yeah.
that's what people tell me, and that's certainly my
Well,
case.
that's your case.
So I have one data point, but I talk with a lot of professionals, a lot of them say that, Sky Telescope was influential, let's say, maybe not the reason, but influential.
A very important aspect of it, I think. So, here at, I don't know if you guys can see this. Maybe I can put this right in front of the camera. But, there's Sky Telescope. So it has. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, there's the QR code. Let me just hold that. You guys want to get that QR code? Okay. And you can get a discount on Sky Telescope.
Yeah, Stargazers discount.
Stargazers.
But that link, the QR code brings you to a landing page that has a lot of neat links, like to our website, because in all of this, we haven't talked about the website.
Oh, that's true. Which is kind of its own animal, right?
It is a very important part of who we are. And we try to post as often or as timely as we can breaking news stories. But we also have an observing blog on there.
And you have What's Up in the Sky?
What's Up in the Sky, yes, Sky at Glance, that comes out every Friday. And so the website is really important. And so that QR code will bring you to the website, to our shop where we sell things. But also one thing that you mentioned Kelly Beatty before.
Yeah.
And Kelly is our tours coordinator.
Right.
We plan a lot of fun astronomical tours, and you can go see eclipses or go see Machu Picchu or go to Iceland and see the aurora.
So you guys kind of step outside the magazine.
Yeah.
Get your hands not dirty, but
More fingers in pies
yeah,
and
that's
things.
right.
Yes,
That's
yes.
right. But the magazine walks the walk, talks the talk, and engages the public. Okay, through these tours, through the magazine, through the website.
The website is a great resource also for let's say more introductory stuff, because we have a couple of web pages with how to choose the right telescope, how to choose the right binoculars, eyepieces, and we have some observing tools. You can put in today's date and see where Jupiter's moons are. So the website has quite a few resources for people for observing tools, tips, and for people who are interested in learning more about how to get into the hobby.
Right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Kind of the way I see the whole process is, maybe you start off as stargazer, love the night sky and everything, and then you might develop a hobby where you're getting out there sometimes, and then there's people that kind of go full tilt, and now it's their lifestyle.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of people here at the AstroCon that it's their lifestyle. Okay,
So,
right? I would say for you, it's definitely a lifestyle. Right? Me too. But it's a wonderful community. Wonderful community. No other community, where you go to an event and you see, I don't know, maybe $1 million in equipment lying around, Just lying around.
Just last night, there were a whole bunch of us out here. We tried to get above the smoke.
Okay.
And there were a whole bunch of us in one of the parking lots at the end of Bryce Canyon. And you see everything from people just wandering in, just looking up with their own eyes to gaze at the amazing Milky Way that we all saw, right up to the $24 million camera equipment.
Yeah, all that stuff that's out there.
Everything, the whole range,
and people are sharing it, right?
That's the thing. That's what's so. We're all sharing that night sky. Whether we're looking at it just with our eyes, or whether we're looking at it through a nice piece, or whether we're collecting photons to make that image that you can share with friends and family.
Right.
And we share that love for the night sky.
And the magazine plays a huge role in this because you guys publish astrophotography from all kinds of amateur astronomers. You also get articles from amateur astronomers. Maybe some of them never written before, but it doesn't come up when you see it in the magazine, it doesn't look like they haven't written it before,
No, and that's the role of the editor. And so that's what I want to tell everybody out there. Don't be afraid. You're not doing this alone. You have an editor who's going to, if we accept your pitch, of course.
Right.
You have an editor who will walk you through the steps. And so the amateurs primarily, they submit articles on observing guides. If they're out in the field and they're maybe looking at they're checking out all the different types of targets in a specific constellation. And then so if you have your observing logs lying around your notes, you can try and fashion them into an article like others have done. So the purpose of these articles is the author tries to recreate a guide for the reader to reproduce with their own equipment in their own observing site. And it's absolutely fantastic. So either with, like star hopping tips or
or how to do, maybe you've never done an occultation timing before or something. Or how to observe and photograph an eclipse.
Yes, and our astrophotography department, of course, is also huge for it in terms of guides. How to operate specific cameras or how to photograph eclipses or aurora. We also, for the astrophotography, we also have a more beginner's column. We have a little bit of beginner stuff in the magazine. So for astrophotography, we do have one. For some of the observing, we have some content that is geared more towards either people who are stepping into the hobby, have done a little bit, stepping into the hobby, or just want to relax sometimes and not always go look for those 16th magnitude targets with their 32 inch, but just want to take their binoculars out and sail through Cygnus, sort of thing.
I like the way you said that. That's very cool. When I think of the dynamics of how Sky and Telescope works with the astronomical community, I try to think of any other field of study that has this kind of openness, sharing, mentorship.
It's easy to do because all you have to do is step outside and look up together.
That's true.
I think, when you have to look at, bacteria, protozoa, everybody has to look through the microscope, so you can't. I'm not saying, I'm sure that microbiologists know how to share as well. I'm not saying they don't know, but I'm just thinking in my own.
But you're probably not going to have a big line of people lined up to your microscope.
Who knows?
Well, maybe, but I'm sure there's going to be somebody out there that says, hey, I've got my microscope, and we showed 1,000 people last night.
I'd love to hear from you, by the way. But I think what I want to step back while I take my foot out of my mouth. I want to step back to the fact that with astronomy, it's so accessible.
Yeah.
Because all we need to do, we need dark skies.
Of course you do.
So
not only for astronomy, but for many other reasons.
So in urban areas, it's a little bit more challenging to share the night sky, but there are ways to do it.
Sure.
Because the planets are always exciting to share. Even
the moon,
and the moon is
the sun,
yeah. So it's really simple. You just tell everybody you're going to be somewhere with a telescope, or just there telling, and people can come look up or look down into the scope, and it's such a seamless way, in a sense, to be able to communicate, convey what we love about astronomy.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why the community is so tight and so and so passionate. But I mean, who wouldn't be passionate?
Yeah, right. I know it's like pouring out of you. So it's awesome. Now, I also feel, some other aspect that I feel about the community is that sharing aspect. I also scuba dive, and I like to do photography, but photographers are a little close to the vest on some little technique that they have. Okay, all right. And amateur astronomers, if they have some little technique, they'll explain it to you, till you don't even want to hear about it anymore sometimes. But no, but to get you up to explore more. And so I think that's really cool. As a telescope maker, I really enjoy that I make tools that people can explore the skies with, but with the magazine and the way you guys breathe life into all of this, and connect everybody, on multiple levels. And it's such an incredible role, and it's been going on for decades, and I expect it'll go on for decades more. So, yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to add or say?
I just want to thank you so much for this opportunity. It's
Oh.
been great chatting.
Oh, thank you very
and
much.
I love what you do for the
Oh,
community.
well, I love
You
what
are
you do
very
too.
important for the
Yep.
community as well,
It
so-
says a lot that someone that could just sit behind a desk, okay, is out here with us, encouraging us to learn more about the sky. So thank you.
Thank you, Scott.
All right. So that's it, folks. I will have more speakers on later, and we will go.